My name is John Simmons, and I'm the author of several books. The first of these was published 21 years ago, and it's called We, Me, Them and It. It's now being republished by Lid 21 years later. The publishers asked me if I would make a short film to help other authors write new works. I thought the best way would be to draw on that first book and see if that would be the basis. Perhaps wishing that I'd had access to such a thing when I was writing my first book all those years ago. How to write a book? How to do anything? You need a large amount of determination. How to run a marathon? You need a large amount of determination. So I just adopt the phrase from Nike, just do it. At first, I thought I would structure this in 3 parts. The traditional storytelling structure, beginning, middle, end. But then I decided to concentrate on beginning, because once you've begun, the middle and the end follow. Once you've begun, once you've committed yourself to the writing, you will complete it. Beginning can be tough. After all, what are you going to write? What kind of book will it be? Will it be a business book? Will it be a novel or poetry? I've written all 3 forms, so I thought I'd draw on the experience of all 3, but have a bias towards the business book because that's probably where the writers are less experienced and less natural as writers. We, Me, Them and It was the first full-length book that I'd written, and I guess you can say it stood the test of time. People still say it's a good book, and many people say that it changed their lives. The title raises an important point about beginning. Do you begin with the title, or do you allow the title to emerge after you've started writing? In my case, the title came first because that represented the model that I was going to use to structure the book. I structured it in these 4 parts, the first part being we, and then going through me and them, and the final part being it. But also, importantly, the title was not obvious. It had a bit of intrigue. It did not try to explain, to say what it says on the tin. You have to lure the reader in, otherwise it might just sound too boring. Too boring to read, and also too boring to write. Of course, you can also have a subtitle. In this case, How to Write Powerfully for Business. That sets out clearly what the intention of the book is. But do you know what you want to say on your subject? Part of the reason for writing a book is actually to find out what you have to say. It's a journey of exploration for the writer. Now that's a good thing. It keeps the writer engaged, which means it keeps the reader engaged too. Don't force it. Time works magically. Let ideas brew in your mind. Think about the book even when you're not aware of doing so. It will be working. Don't pin yourself to your desk all day. Change the scene. Go out for a run. Go for a walk. Or sit in a coffee shop with your notebook and start writing. You need to get started, and you need to have an idea for the book that might be expressed in the title. That idea might just drop from the heavens, or you might need to work a little bit at it until it emerges. Patience. Here is something you have to do. Buy yourself a notebook. Carry that with you all the time and use it to collect your thoughts. Any thoughts that you have about the book. You might just capture a word, or it might be a sentence, or something longer. You build sentences word by word. You build paragraphs sentence by sentence. Your notebook is the place where you collect them. Get in the habit of writing in your notebook regularly, at least daily. Start your day with a piece of automatic writing. Take a word or a thought or a subject that is important to you, and then just write and write without stopping for at least 5 minutes. 10 minutes is even better. Read through what you've written. Don't worry if it reads like gibberish. There will be a word in there, there will be a phrase in there that you'll find useful as you embark on the journey of writing your book. After a time, days, weeks, months, your notebook begins to fill up. Read through what you've got. Are there thoughts that connect? Do you have the idea, the theme that is going to drive your book? Perhaps a title jumps out at you. Take some of those sentences that particularly appeal to you. What sentences follow on from them? You start to build something by connecting words and thoughts. Use this process to set down, just for you, what you think your book is all about. You might be ready now to think about structure. What will your chapters be about? Obviously an introduction and almost certainly a conclusion. But what will you write in the different chapters in between to create the book's narrative? Think of it as a journey that you would take your reader on. What are the different stages in that journey, the different chapters? I want to emphasize the importance of structure because it's the writer's friend. Having a clear structure helps the writer to keep writing because it breaks the task down into a number of manageable segments. Because a whole book will seem daunting, but a single chapter is much more manageable. I once wrote a book where one chapter was called Writing Short. Then I wrote another chapter that was called Writing Long. It might seem a trick, but actually writing long is just writing shorter chunks of writing and putting them together. What is the book's voice? The tone should be clear and consistent, and most definitely yours. Your tone of voice should express your personality and be distinctively your voice. That tone of voice needs to be there in the very first words, in the first line. Don't make your first lines the kind of limbering up, skirting around the subject, hiding away from the spotlight that might first occur to you. Write those down by all means, but then see what you have in the third or fourth sentence. Is that more like the sort of line that will seize a reader's attention, grab a reader by the shoulder, and create some proper eye contact? Write down as many versions of the first line as you feel you need to, and then see which one interests you and that you feel will attract a reader's attention. You might find it helps to look at the way other writers begin their books. In We, Me, Them and It, I use some of my favourite openings of novels to make the point. For example, the past is a foreign country. They do things differently there. Or, call me Ishmael. Or, so what the hell is this book about? Those are the words I used to begin We, Me, Them and It. And they established a tone that I would say is inquisitive, eager, curious. And that was a tone to continue with. Because it sets the bar higher, it means you are looking at great writers or writers that you are engaged by. Challenge yourself to write to that standard. Having started, you need to keep going. So head off into the middle. What will you find there? You will know when you're there and writing it. And you will be forming, perhaps subconsciously, that point of ending. There will almost certainly be a connection between the beginning and the ending. What you have to do is follow E.M. Forster's phrase, a phrase that has intrigued me and become almost a personal mantra for decades. That phrase is, only connect. It's how writing works. Enjoy making connections between people, between thoughts, between words.